So Mark is also in a whole bunch of different stuff, and we're going to get to a lot of that. So I'm going to keep introducing. So we'll go ahead and go to the next person, who is. Do we have another slide? Okay. Raphael Sbarge. Awesome. So, we also have Kimberly Brooks, who's running this talk. I know you guys noticed we do have one seat that is empty, and unfortunately, Jennifer Hale was not able to make it to this panel, but she will be. But she will be in the 1:30 Cartoon Voices, hopefully. So let's go from there. So, without further ado, do we have these mics on?
Two.
There we go. So there's the massive voice.
There's a microphone.
All right, so Mark, you were just telling me in the back that you've done some things with Dragon Age as well.
I have. I've done a little work on Dragon Age Inquisition just this week as well. Well, Dragon Age Inquisition is, of course, the sequel to Dragon Age 2. It is in the Dragon Age trilogy, I guess you would call it. And now I did clear with BioWare that I mentioned that I did do some work on it. I cannot get into the specifics of what I did. But if you play the other Dragon Age games, you'll know that you occasionally encounter me as villains and bartenders and merchants and things like that. So it'll be something similar. Perhaps in Dragon Age 2, the elf male prostitute, Japan. Hopefully the people that I play in this one also will see.
So, Kimberly also has a whole bunch of video game voices that she does. One of the ones that I really enjoyed was the Batman Arkham, the Oracle. I don't think that...
Okay. Yes, that was. It was really fun.
Okay. So, when you're preparing for a role like that, what do you, in your mind, what do you go through?
Well, luckily the writers usually do such a great job. You kind of just go with what they give you. And Batman series is so popular, everybody knows it, everybody knows Oracle, so I just try to, play her.
Now, the other game that I loved was Bioshock Infinite.
That was pretty different, yeah.
Well, can you tell us what the difference is of a Batman versus a...
Well, those characters had a lot of strength and a lot of, stuff to overcome. But same approach, really. Great writing. I thought the writing for Daisy was great. And I just approached it as an actor from an honest place.
Great. Okay. Raphael, you haven't really been in a lot of different video games lately, but you are launching a nonprofit here in the Denver area. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So there's a nonprofit that I've been a part of called Greenwish, and it's an environmental nonprofit. And basically, it's a community-based giving nonprofit. And having been here last year, we are here this year launching the Denver chapter of Greenwish, which will go. The money raised will all go directly back into the community here in Denver. So we're really excited about that. And there's information about it at our table, and Greenwish has a table as well.
All right, so back to Mark really quickly.
Yeah.
You were telling me about a game called The Long Dark.
The Long Dark, yes. Oh, thank you.
Nobody asked me to do that, yes.
Thank you.
Just wanted to nice.
Thank you for conserving. The Long Dark is a game from Hinterland Studio, which is a new studio out in Canada, and it's a bunch of folks who work for major video game companies, including BioWare, who have struck out on their own, formed their own company. And Jennifer Hale is actually going to be in that as well, along with David Hayter, who some may know as the voice of Sing, also the screenwriter of X-Men 2 and Watchmen. And some of the other Canadian actors, Elias Texas, who's another well-known Canadian voice actor. And the premise of The Long Dark is essentially a post-disaster survival simulation that is extremely realistic. So no zombies, no mutants. Essentially, something goes wrong with the sun, which knocks out all electricity on Earth. And the main character, William McKenzie, who I play, is a bush pilot. He's up in the air when that happens. So the game is basically surviving in the Canadian North with no resources whatsoever and no electricity. And I'm told it's going to be very realistic in terms of keeping track of your calorie intake and your body temperature and things like that. So people who really like survival sims, for example, like the very hard level of Fallout 3, the way that you can play like that. So that for a whole game, but no mutants.
So no DayZ thing going on there?
No DayZ, only wolves and starvation.
And if we see an insanity there, maybe. Let's look for that. So, Raphael, you also just had an airing of one of the biggest airings ever, called Murder in the First.
I'm on a show once upon a time, and sounds like one or two of you heard of it. And,
certainly more than I've heard of The Long Dark.
and then I've also another series now called Murder in the First, which is a new TV show that just aired. It's a wonderful cast: Tay Diggs, Kathleen Robertson, James Cromwell, Richard Schiff, a fellow named Tom Felton from a little movie called Harry Potter, and amongst some other folks over there. You can't see me. Anyway, so it's one case over the whole season. It's Monday nights, and it got its initial airing, and it did quite well. So maybe we'll be seeing a bunch more of them. So I'm excited about it.
Kimberly, you're also pretty big in cartoons as well. So some of the Scooby-Doo stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Ice Girls with Jennifer.
Yeah.
If she was here. She would be here. That was fun.
So, what is the difference between a video game and a cartoon? Or is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a difference. I think video games are a lot more work, personally. You're always working by yourself, which I don't like. But you gotta do it that way. And there's, as you know, many options and multiple endings, and so you're just doing a lot more actual talking. And then there's always the death screams, and that's always fun. I was working on Call of Duty. One of the first female soldiers. It totally lost my voice because all I did was scream and die. But, so it's a lot more work that way. And I don't know, I love Doc McStuffins, and it's just cute and fun, and, I'm there for like 5 minutes, and I don't know, it's a lot different.
Really, do you guys not do exertion palettes for animation? Really?
What's that?
You guys don't do exertion palettes for animation, so no grunts or...
Explain to them what an exertion palette is.
We all know. So the exertion palette is essentially what we were talking about, like the death screams and things like that, and also like your sounds when you're hitting people. That's right, Raphael.
Morning drinking orange juice.
So that was good. Can you give us 27 more of those, please? Okay, so now you've been hit with an axe. Okay, now you've been hit with a knife. Okay, now you've been hit with an axe that's on fire. So it's like that. So we usually save those for the end of the sessions, and you just run through all the possible ways you can die, and all the possible ways you can hit people, or lift things, or jump, and things like that.
And then you go home generally, and you don't talk for at least a couple days because your voice is hammered.
4 hours of that is pretty tough.
So, I'm going to ask one more question, and if you guys have any questions out there should be some microphones left and right here that we can start, and we'll have about 20 minutes worth of, or 30 minutes worth of that. So, go ahead and start lining up with questions, and so, one of the questions that I've always wanted to know is, as a voice actor, how do you get started? Like, where's a good place to start? YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, what's it?
Well,
this is for everyone.
I'd say that most of the actors of my acquaintance don't consider themselves exclusively voice actors or exclusively, say, commercial actors or theater actors. It might be to get more work in that area, but generally you consider yourself an actor. So the number one step to being a voice actor is be an actor. And through that, that's workshops, formal training, obviously, through theater schools and things like that. I myself do not have any formal training. I mostly came from the world of improv. But even there, there's lots of training that goes into the various workshops going around the world, learning from different people. Essentially, it's there's no hard and fast rule on how you become a voice actor. The main thing is you go to an audition and you land the gig, and then you're a voice actor.
So, Raphael, you started on Sesame Street at the age of 5.
Oh my gosh.
I did not know that.
So, a little known fact, I guess.
So how do I get onto Sesame Street? Is that your next question?
Yeah, so how do you go from Sesame Street to something maybe bigger?
Oh gosh. I mean, I hear what Mark is saying, and I concur. I mean, there's no one way to do this. Obviously, someone had that answer. Everyone would be actors, but obviously training has been huge. It's been huge for me. And Mark underplays his improv training, but he is an improv genius, and I've been on enough panels to know that that's the case. As well as also all of the voices that he does and all of the things, all of the kind of places in his head that he can go. It's remarkable what you do. But I
I just don't have a piece of paper that proves that.
well, there's maybe not a diploma, you can't take that to the bank either, right?
No.
Yes. So to make a living as an actor is very difficult, and having a huge array of sort of training, I think, is really valuable. And obviously, also working in the theater has always been hugely important to me in terms of kind of really, for people who are aspiring to be actors. I feel that what you learn in working on a play, in terms of a beginning, middle, and end of telling a story, and being on stage where no one can yell cut, where you have to actually take it and put it out and make it work for the 2 hours that the audience is there. That's a real skill. That's like carpentry. It's like fine carpentry. It's not just sort of putting someone together. But that's what you learn. The more and more you get to do it. I don't know, Kimberly. What's your?
Well, same thing. I mean, we all have different backgrounds, but theater. I was in my first play when I was in 3rd grade, and I never stopped being in plays, and I started a theater company in LA, and so I do have that training. I was a theater major, but I wanted to do more, and I love voiceover, and I'm one of the few that all I do is voiceover. I don't do any on camera, because I love that I can be all of these different characters. I can be Ashley Williams. I can be, whatever I want to be without any limitations. So that's what I like voiceover. And I think if you want to do it, you should go for it, and don't let anyone tell you you can't do it, and just get your training, and just like these guys were saying, and that's what you should do if you want to do that. Because I hear a lot of people telling me they want to get into it, and now you've got the internet, you can have your own studio at home, there's just so many opportunities. When I started 20 some odd years ago, there was just a small core group of voice actors, and now I've just seen it expand and expand. So the opportunities are there, you just have to go for it if you want it.
Awesome, thank you. So, first question, right here on the right-hand side.
You all have talked about really long voice recording sessions and everything.
4 hours.
They usually keep it to 4.
Okay, so 4-hour recording sessions and stuff, but a lot of dialogue, recording a lot of extra stuff. How many people have you encountered that are huge Mass Effect fans that have no idea who you are in the series, even after talking to you, even after you give the voice, because they haven't played with your characters?
For people who play Mass Effect.
Well, no, that's the thing, because I'm usually meeting fans in a con type situation, so I have the advantage of having a big picture behind me that says Mark Meer, the voice of Commander Shepard. So they usually
Visual aids are good.
Yes, right. I guess on occasion, I've seen people like, at cons in Commander Shepard outfits and sort of introduce myself and just go like, oh, hey, that's a great outfit. And then they recognize the voice.
Have you ever been on a phone with someone, like called for reservations or,
Yes, I mean, does that happen to you? Is it like for other stuff too? Has anybody gone, Jiminy Cricket?
Not yet.
Commander!
No, I mean, the Commander Shepard voice is, let's face it, it's not that far from my natural voice. But at the same time, it is me trying to sound tough. And I'm not trying to sound tough on the phone. I'd love to hear that.
So right over here on the left.
This question's for all three of you. Have you played the games? And if so, on your first playthrough, who did you decide to save? Ashley or Hale?
Well, considering I have Ashley and Hayden up here with me on point. No, this is not news to Raphael. This is one of the first panels that we did together a few years ago at DragonCon. I had to make this admission, and I was actually telling Kimberly about it backstage as well. On both my Renegade and Paragon playthroughs, I'm afraid that I sacrificed Cade on both. Here's the reasoning. It was because my Renegade was involved with Ashley. So that's clear. And then my Paragon was too much of a Boy Scout to kill a lady, so I'm sorry. I apologize again. I have to do it.
Thank you.
Well, you live both times, so
I admitted this in, I think we were in another panel in London actually, and I admitted that I actually killed Caden as well. Because I've embarrassed myself before and I'll do it again. It's very weird to play with yourself.
Clearly, I have no problem with this.
Well, I tried to play and I just kept running into the wall. It was not pretty. So, no, I didn't have to have that choice to save anybody. I never did that.
And that's how animation is different from video games. Animation, your character doesn't just keep wandering into the wall.
We're going to go right out to the side.
So I know, Mark, you said you're the only one who's played it so far, but if you could choose one character for your respective characters to romance, who would you decide for them to end up with?
Well, I can answer what I did on my playthroughs. On my playthroughs, my Renegade, as I mentioned, started romancing Ashley, and in the second game, switched over to Miranda. Just largely because I knew that Ashley was. I mean,
That's just hit Twitter like a rocket!
I had the inside knowledge of knowing that Ashley wouldn't be available as a party NPC on that game, so I switched over with my love interest. And the Paragon started with Liara and switched over to Tal. Now it's interesting to hear who Raphael would potentially romance on.
I'm not. I played a bit of one and a bit more of three, and I've not spent the serious time that Mark has spent
Just in some sort of narcissistic, weird.
That said, maybe also for so it's not to offend anyone as well. I would also keep my romances to myself.
So when you weren't running into walls, did you have a romance with anyone?
She's married.
I was all alone. All by myself.
She's up against the wall.
There were witnesses. Some of you may have been there. It was not pretty. I was really trying.
It was dark and a lot of happy.
So Kimberly, did you play as Femcha? Or Milcha?
Yeah.
You played as Femcha, so it was not balls to the wall.
No, that would be physically impossible.
Alright, we're going to go right back to the side.
Will any of y'all be involved in
Effect 4?
Write your congressman, do something to get us on the game. I haven't heard anything.
Yes, and I haven't, and if I had, then I couldn't tell you. So, because I'm saying that I haven't. I don't know what else. But yes,
That sounds like a mind game. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, we just know that it's lurking out there, sort of like a serpent, about to come out. So we don't know yet, and obviously they're keeping it wildly under wraps. But I think they're very aware that everyone's excited about something coming.
Yeah. And though we know Commander Shepard's story did end with the trilogy, please write the congressman and demand many Borgia.
Okay, so my question isn't actually for any of you guys. It's for the awesome cosplayers that have done their Mass Effect costumes, and I was wondering if you're willing, if we could congregate outside once we're done for photo ops.
Yeah, any of you guys, anybody's doing a Mass Effect
Definitely.
costume outside, meet that girl right there.
Do you want to all stand up right now? We'd love to see you.
Yeah.
I apologize for not bringing my N7 armor. I do have my jacket though.
Alright, so go right over here.
Sorry, I'm a little off this mic. Okay, I played the game for the Mass Effect 3 for about like 5.5 times, 1/2 time, just because I had to shoot more, and that was just too much. My question is,
You bastard.
no, my question is, every time I played it, I've seen new dialogue, and I know you've had like 4-hour sessions of dialogue. But how long has it taken you guys to actually record? Was it like a few months? Was it like a year? Or like how long?
It was many sessions spread out over the course of several years, usually per game. It would usually they'd stretch for months and months. Jennifer and I had, of course, a huge amount of dialogue to lay down, especially in 3, just because of the nature of the game, because there were so many branching choices. So there were choices that you made in the first game that there were characters that might be dead by the time you got to Mass Effect 3, or maybe not, maybe you hadn't killed them. So we had to record all possibilities of dialogue for that. So there were, just as I say, it was just like a branching effect. It just got more and more dialogue as we went. And it's pretty amazing, just the people, BioWare who had to track all that, and track all the possibilities. The amount of work it was, the time that we spent in the booth was really the least of it.
And just to sort of explain, I know 4 hours doesn't sound very much, but when you're there alone, literally alone in a room, in a padded room with microphones, and
Your room was padded?
for you, that's good. Just bouncing off the wall.
We even have that the stuff that looks like home egg crates.
But I mean, it used to be paper, and they would deliver a stack of paper, and it would always be, you could sort of take it off, put it on the floor, and then the pile on this music stand would get smaller, and the pile on the floor would bigger. But now it's sort of like a large iPad type device, and you're there just you, sort of in your imagination. There's nothing to look at, there's nothing to kind of really stimulate you. There is, because it's BioWare, they have a wonderful system called Beta, which is where they can, when they've recorded them, actually play in advance sort of your cue line. So the person that you're speaking to, if they recorded their part of the scene, you can actually respond in kind, like a real conversation. But most of the time, I'm not sure how it was for you, most of the time, it wasn't recorded yet, we don't have it, we don't know where the file is, and so you would be essentially doing one side of the conversation, and you do multiple takes of it. And it's a very particular kind of exhaustion that you get at the end of 4 hours.
And the other thing about that technology that was developed by BioWare, by the end, I thought was great because not only did I get to act with Jennifer indirectly, but the proximity and because you're jumping around from scene to scene, like you could be in battle and then the next scene could be a love scene or whatever. But I noticed in the first games or you're in battle and some people are yelling louder than other people or some people. So I think by the technology really helped keep the continuity by the third game. I thought, and it was easier, and it's so much more fun to have Jennifer giving you the line, and you get to hear what she's saying and how she delivers it and acting back with her. So that was amazing.
Yeah.
Going from the stacks of paper to that.
And we saved a lot of trees too. Like, we killed at least a forest, I think. But as Kimberly says, yeah, the system really got refined by the end. I would assume that just from what you're saying, you were probably recording first in a lot of your scenes, because
I perhaps.
Yeah, in my case, a lot of the time, everybody else was in the scene, and so it was great just to be, like Raphael or Kimberly or say, Keith David. You go in and have the complete performance in the booth with you. I guess the advantage is, a couple of times I was like the first person to record a given scene, and I guess the advantage there is that you set the tone, and everybody else follows you. But as Raphael says, it is a bit of an exhausting process when it's just you acting and acting.
I mean, think about it too, because I mean, the scenes, for example, that Kimberly and I have, particularly the more intimate scenes. It's just you. It's a funny thing to do.
It's embarrassing. It's just plain embarrassing.
So we're going to go right on to the
My question was for all of you, what was your favorite dialogue segment or quote to work on from the Mass Effect series besides I Should Go?
Well, it's good you mentioned I Should Go, because both Jennifer and I said that a lot. And if I owe there's credit, they could have just had us said it once and just used it over and over again. Every time that Jennifer says I should go was a fresh one. We always said it was fresh. It was always fresh.
Always fresh.
It was always some new nuance. I should go. I should go. I should, yeah. So let's see, like the favorite dialogue to record. One scene that really stuck out for me, of course, like doing the Renegade interrupts was always fun. Those were always great and lots of fun, and there was usually some kind of snarky one-liner. But I think my favorite scene to record was probably the final scene with Anderson looking down at the earth. And yeah, that was amazing. And you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny thing to have, we did this over 10 years, right? And not every day over 10 years, but essentially over a decade we were recording, and we would come back and, get back in. And so thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lines and scenes. I know that by the time we got to the end, and when we all realized that, well before you all realized that the end was really going to be the end, it kind of hit us hit me in a big way, like, whoa, wow. And I remember, weeping in those last scenes. I mean, it was really something, because it feels like these characters, you feel attached to them, you feel connected to them, you feel, I certainly felt a part of this miraculous machine, which is BioWare, and so some of those farewell scenes, those last scenes were powerful. And then to come back and then do the Citadel scenes in the DLC, those were blasts. Right?
Yeah.
And sort of like, I felt like those were just sort of a little Easter egg or Christmas present for everyone, It just was so fun.
Oh, I was just going to say, the drug scene, everybody knows that. But I know what I didn't particularly like doing was all the Tennyson, the poetry stuff.
Captain.
Yes. It was just like, I don't know, it's so hard. Who talks like that? Why would you just be talking poetry for no reason? It was difficult to find that balance. But yeah, that was fun.
I was going to say what Raphael said about the Citadel DLC. For me, it was, it was obviously, emotional. Like, it had the same kind of reaction like to the final scene. But there was part of me that was always going like, yeah, but there'll be DLC. So for me, it was like the final stuff of Citadel. And that was probably my favorite DLC on the Citadel. Knowing that really was the last of it, that this was like, this is the last.
Did it affect you?
Yeah, definitely. Ladies and gentlemen,
we're gonna share.
Hey, ladies.
Because we did a lot of that. Sorry to interrupt.
Hey guys, I don't know if you noticed, but that's Jennifer Hale. So, I guess
So Jennifer, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, let's introduce
I
yourself.
hope to one day get into voice acting. My real dream is to save the world. There's nothing to be outside. Are we outside yet?
We're still actually in this auditorium.
By the way, Jennifer just got off the plane. She literally just flew here right now. We're so tired.
We were texting her backstage.
I'm sorry I'm late. I just watched her.
I didn't want to miss it.
So, everyone here appreciates it, I'm sure. So, just kind of a little rundown. You're involved with Halo 5, Elder Scrolls Online, just to name a few. Is there anything else that you're kind of going